Hey you guys, I'm super happy to be posting this video of Laura S. talking about sex in recovery. And one of my favorite parts of this video is the fact that Laura says up front that she hasn't had much of a sexual revolution, or as I like to call it, a revelation in recovery. And then she goes ahead and talks all about her sexual revolution or her sexual revelation. Another thing that I love about Laura's talk is that she fronts the fact that she's had trauma in her sexual history and a few other difficulties that have been significant, and that she's overcome them by staying sober and not using and feeling her feelings. So listen with pleasure and let me know what you think. Oh,
And
wow.
and I was definitely in my what you would call active addiction then. I was just before college graduation, and the 2 years right after graduation were the worst of my drinking. But I liked him so much. I had known him for 4 years, and so I really wanted it to be special. We had planned on having sex. It just the way that it happened was not the plan, and like all of a sudden he was inside of me,
Right,
unprotected.
right,
I,
right,
I, I sat through health class. I knew how things worked. And I
right.
said, "You're not coming near me without a condom." And then all of a sudden he was inside me and I didn't know really how to, I liked
Get
him.
him
So I
out.
having sex. How do I stop this? Because I knew him and I wanted to have sex with him. So, and it
But
really
you
wasn't
didn't
it.
want it like that, and you didn't want it then, and yeah, you didn't get to negotiate the terms of it.
Right.
Yeah,
So then I found out that is absolutely rape. It's not a violent rape.
right.
It is a
So,
violation of my,
but you said you weren't drunk at that moment, but you were in your active addiction, right? You said,
yeah.
yeah, like I mean, you were inside your alcoholism or your addiction. So what was like in those years after you started having sex? What was it like when you were in your addiction? Like, was it satisfying? Did you have satisfying sex? Did you?
No. And I haven't had a lot of satisfying sex in my life.
Yeah.
So I was drinking from 18 to 24, but I had a sexual experience for the first time when I was 22. So it was really just 2 years of drinking and being
Right.
sexual with others. And it mostly involved, bringing guys home from bars and guys that I didn't really vet, didn't really know, and not a lot of actual like intercourse, but a lot of oral sex and some situations where guys kind of forced, I mean, can you oral sex rape, I guess? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and now, but I think also
So you've been sober
a
for
kid.
8 years?
I've been sober almost 10.
Wow. And so how long
Yeah.
were you celibate?
Well, just bits and pieces throughout. I mean, I didn't like become a nun, but I call myself Sister Laura sometimes because before my MO was either to be in a relationship or to be completely single. And by that I mean like not dating, just being celibate, kind of by choice. And because I didn't want to deal with all the crap. I mean,
Yeah.
um, but and when I say like either a relationship or being totally single, my default is really just being single. And I'm grateful for that actually because I've gotten to know myself really, really well. And I know that there are a lot of people who are serial daters or serial monogamous and they jump from relationship to relationship. I've had the benefit, I'll look at it that way, as really getting to know myself, and especially these past 2 years of starting the website, getting to know all these amazing recovery voices around the country and around the world. But yes, I am dating a little bit, and I am allowing myself to have a little fun, and that means some level of rounding some bases.
Oh, that's cool. So let me just ask you this. Let's focus a little bit. You talked about you were celibate. And I'd like to talk about what your energy and your body felt like while you were celibate. Like, how long were you celibate? How many years?
I
Like,
mean,
and is this in sobriety?
So, even when I was so oh boy, when I was in a long-term relationship, which ended a little over a year ago, but it lasted for 18 months,
Uh-huh.
we did not have sex. So I was
Wow.
actually celibate in said relationship.
Wow.
That's a whole other story for
Yeah,
another video, another podcast. And I mean, I've written about it.
sure.
Nothing's lonelier than being in a relationship and not being able to be with that person. But I don't know. I've had stretches of, and you know what? I'm going to just be totally forthcoming and outright with it. I have herpes.
Hmm.
I've had it.
I read that, by the way. I didn't want to bring it up. I
That's
wanted to let
okay,
you
and
do
I
that.
want to say it because it's got more stigma and shame than being in recovery. Than I mean, I think HIV is still pretty high stigma wise, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's lessened over time, and I feel like herpes is this like bad word, but I've had it my whole sex life because I caught it the night I lost my virginity.
Oh, wow.
I've had, I, and it was via date rape.
Ah,
So a lot of like a loaded situation, but and I believe knowing that I have this, knowing that I'm a carrier, because a lot of people don't know they're carriers.
yeah.
Um, I have the responsibility to disclose my status to
Well,
people,
sure. Yeah.
and it has caused a lot of rejection um, of me. That's one of the reasons why I've not really had much of a sex life over time because
Right.
it's such a buzzkill to bring that up to people, and it causes me so much internal shame.
Right.
Um,
And what does that shame do to your sexual response?
I mean, the fact that I'm also on an antidepressant, which lowers my libido.
I saw
I've
an
got shame.
SSRI. An SSRI.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got the shame from having herpes.
Right.
It's like, I mean, it's like I haven't had a sexual revolution. I mean, much.
Right.
And I want to try to change that narrative for myself now by talking more about it, by being open about my status, and by showing that with the proper precaution, you can still have a very normal and healthy
Right.
sex life. But a
Right.
lot of people don't know that, and they don't talk about it.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why, for lack of a better explanation, that I've been celibate for a
No,
long.
I so respect that. No, I so respect your ability to talk about how the shame kills, and also the antidepressants, because frankly, one of the things I've begun to think about since I've been writing about sexuality and recovery is the fact that as women, we've been given drugs for decades that kill our sexual response, and SSRIs are one type of drug that we've been given. And that's not to say, I mean, I'm sure doctors quite often have had the best of intentions, although I think they haven't done their research. But, when Prozac and all the SSRIs started coming out, they swore up and down, no sexual side effects, right?
Mm.
And now it's clear that a majority of people have sexual side effects. So I've begun to think about how many drugs, even over-the-counter drugs, affect our sexual response. It's really true. I mean, even if you take Benadryl, it dries you up. It dries up your vaginal secretions, because it dries up your whole body. It's an antihistamine, so
Interesting.
it's gonna affect your sexual response. And so I've begun to really protect my sexual response by limiting the number of drugs I take that actually affect it.
Hmm.
And I think doctors actually don't understand, especially the doctors that are prescribing opioids, which was the drug that I was really addicted to. They don't understand how much they affect sexual response. So I just think it's great that you're talking about how your shame affected your sexual response and how you're just trying to take action against that shame, because I think it's just so important. Because you deserve connection. You deserve the kind of connection that sexual connection brings. That's a healing connection. Any connection is an antidote to addiction, I believe. Any real, honest connection and non-addictive connection. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah. So how's it going? How's your dating going?
Well, I found a quasi friend with benefits, which I've never
Quasi?
had. I've never had that before. We keep finding each other on like Tinder and on OkCupid and stuff like that. And he's actually in an open relationship, which takes a lot of pressure off things because I don't have to worry about there being. I mean, I am worried that like I could develop feelings for someone who's not emotionally like available, but I just wanted someone I could practice
Well,
with.
exactly. Practice is so important. It
And
brings
it's
progress.
I've only seen him once this year, but he I mean, I don't know how graphic we're allowed to be,
You're allowed
but
to be as graphic as you want. I'm not after prurient details, but whatever you feel like is honest about expressing
okay.
your sexuality and recovery.
So for me, there are two ways that I can come and that I've at least found out so far, and one is
Who's
via
back there?
no, I don't know. I have my own apartment, but I just don't know.
Okay.
One is via masturbation, and the
Uh-huh.
other is oral sex.
Uh-huh.
And most guys don't want to go down on someone who has herpes because no one likes dental dams, and they think that they'll get it if you know there's no like barrier. So
You're
for
taking
years,
you're taking antivirals. Is that what you're taking?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
taking Valtrex
Uh-huh.
every day. I haven't
What does your
I
doctor
haven't
tell you
out-
about the safety of oral sex and your medication?
What is the safety
Yeah.
rate? I don't know the percentage, but it's like less than 1% of a risk of transmission.
Right.
So, but the long and the short of it is that lots of guys don't want to bother with that, knowing my condition. And this man in particular has done his research. He's had partners with it. He said, "You're on medication. It's really no big deal." And he went down on me, and it was amazing.
All right.
And then that same night, I had another date with a different guy, and he gave my boobs some love.
Oh my God.
It was
Girl.
I know, but
You're awesome.
I've had years of being completely celibate, so this was like it felt like a
Right.
revolution to me, like the
That's
revolution
what
that
I
I've never
mean.
had.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah. And it was sober, so you could feel everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember everything and
Yeah.
no hangovers.
Right. Exactly. That is so awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So far, it's just been like 5 or 6 different guys. I have, and I'm going to talk about it now. I've come to the point where I think I want to do a little bit of experimentation with women. I have enough estrogen on my own that I don't want to have a girlfriend. I have plenty of girlfriends. I don't want to be in a romantic relationship with one, but women are very, very attractive. And I think I've repressed a lot over the years. I mean, I think I knew since I was a very young kid that I was bisexual, but I didn't have the language to say that for a long time. And then I thought that you could only be one or the other, gay or straight,
Sure,
straight
yeah.
or gay. And so I never really experimented in college, and I was too busy getting wasted anyway. So now I'm very comfortable in my sobriety. I am comfortable in the fact that I'm in my 30s now, and I think it's just time. So I'm ready to try a little something new.
No,
I think I was
you're
so worried about like labeling myself and judging myself and having people find out, and no one gives a shit.
So it sounds like in your early 30s now you're coming to a kind of sexual, I don't call it a revolution, I call it a revelation.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I'm finally
great.
having some fun, and I'm ready to also try some new things and maybe go to like a club, like a sex club.
Yeah.
Just see what's out there. I don't
Sure.
know. Life is
Yeah.
short.
It totally is. Well, that's cool, Laura. I'm so glad you wanted to talk about this today. And I'm so glad we could connect.